Alice is a young and beautiful girl who works as a waitress in a small diner. She has a wonderful and carefree life because Alice has a great job, sympathetic parents, and a loving boyfriend working in the police. In the evening, Scott invites the girl to an expensive restaurant to make this day the happiest in her life. Alas, the holiday is overshadowed by a construction worker repairing a sign near the young couple, but Scott does not want to cancel the planned solemn speech and gives the girl an engagement ring. It is at this moment that the builder, unable to keep his balance, falls and shoots a nail from an air pistol into Alice's head. Scott takes the girl to the hospital and the doctors prepare for surgery, when suddenly it turns out that what happened does not belong to the insurance case. The doctors refuse to treat Alice, despite the fact that there is a foreign body in her head, which touched her brain. They are ready to perform surgery, but for this, it is necessary to pay $150,000, which neither Scott nor the girl's parents have. The guy does not support his beloved and takes away the wedding ring, having changed his mind about becoming her husband. Soon the parents organize a charity party to raise money for the operation. Reverend Norm, with an uncontrollable erection, and his assistant, Kashawn, who has butt problems, support the girl, but there are not enough funds to save her. Soon Alice is fired, and a relative decides to help pull out the nail, despite her lack of medical education. At that moment, it turns out that the nail in the girl's head affects her mood and can drastically change it. Alice experiences extreme anger, crying and laughing as she has no control over her emotions. A little later, she sees a plot and learns about an aspiring congressman, Howard, who helps people in need of support. The next morning, Alice, Kashawn, and Reverend Norm head to Washington, D.C., where they intend to track down a young, goofy national elected official. The trio hopes the congressman can protect the rights of people facing rare pathologies not covered by insurance. Once in Congress, Alice immediately finds herself in an awkward situation, as security stops her and does not let her into the building. The girl tries to explain her problem and pulls out a pneumatic nail gun, but this only further frightens those present. A frightened Rakisha is stressed out, but Kashawn is supportive and reassuring to the stranger. Offering his help, he not only gets to know her but also asks the girl out on a date, leaving Norma and Alice alone. Trying not to deviate from the original plan, the Reverend and the waitress heed to Howard's office, but the secretary won't let them meet with the congressman, ceding his business. Astronaut and current lawmaker, Pam enters Howard's office unimpeded to assign him another task. She and several other congressmen are promoting the lunar base project, and the young elected official must find someone capable of campaigning for its signing. Pam intervenes in the conversation and announces that he has made arrangements with the Scout movement and their leader Marcia is ready to hand out cookies, campaigning for approval of the moon-base project. Meanwhile, the aides make Alice leave the reception area and come back another day, as Howard has too much to do and won't be able to see her. Edwin asks the young congressman to obey Pam in everything, because she is a powerful woman and does not tolerate refusal. He recommends finding a new face for the interview, but using someone who is not shy with cameras and reporters. Norm sincerely wants to support Alice, but because of an uncontrollable erection, he is forced to leave Congress and hide in a hotel room. The girl continues to make her way to Howard's office, but she is immediately kicked out. Having dropped her bag, the waitress collects its contents and notices the aspiring congressman nearby. Acting assertively, Alice meets Howard and tells him about her problem, but he refuses to help. The man is new to politics, but has already realized that everything here is not as simple as it seems to people from the outside. He would like to help the unhappy and vulnerable Americans, but circumstances force him to obey the opinion of the majority. At some point during the conversation, an employee passes a nearby eagle statue and accidentally grazes Alice's head. The trauma makes itself felt, and the girl feels an uncontrollable sexual desire. She immediately kisses Howard, after which the couple secludes in one of the offices and makes love. The girl, who has experienced making adults thing for the first time, keeps asking for help and tells about the nail in her head. The young politician does not know how he can help, but offers a mutually beneficial cooperation. Alice must promote Pam's lunar program, and with her approval, edits will be made according to which people with pathologies not covered by insurance will receive money for medical care. Upon returning to the motel, Alice tells Norm that she has agreed to participate in the venture and hopes for the best. Keyshawn and the Reverend are skeptical that they will be helped, but the girl is determined and will do anything to keep her end of the bargain. The next morning, Alice and her friends go to the National Space Museum, where the waitress meets Pam in person and tells her problem. She, like the other politicians, doesn't give it much thought, thinking only of herself. The scout leader, as promised, supports the lunar program, campaigning to vote to sign it. Howard asks Alice to speak next, as it is important for his career as an aspiring politician. Hoping that Congress will amend the law and support vulnerable people, the girl gives a touching interview and also asks to support the program to open a lunar military base. After deeming it a success enough, Keyshawn and Rakisha, Norm, Howard, and Alice throw a party celebrating their success. A little later, the congressman receives a message that the speaker wants to meet the waitress, and this pleases the company even more. Soon, everyone goes to their rooms, which allows Howard and Alice to be alone. During the dance, the girl hits her head on the chandelier, and this changes her mood again. Being a romantic nature, she confesses her feelings to the man, and it turns out that it is mutual. Alice wants to make adults thing to Howard, but before she does, she asks him to tell her more about himself so that it is not a spontaneous but a conscious decision. In the morning, Alice wakes up with the hope that the speaker will support her and amend the bill to help people like her. Howard realizes that he has been deceiving the girl and feels no joy about it, but decides to hide the truth and play along. Soon they meet with the speaker and Pam, where Alice again insists on edits to the bill. The speaker dispels the girl's false hopes and explains that it is not part of his plans. Howard asks to change his mind and thus reveals the deception, as the scouts were promised a famous singer, but it was all part of a big political game. Marcia is disappointed and decides to boycott the moon program, telling everyone the truth about the Congress blatantly lying to their constituents. At the same time, the speaker, who has tasted the cookies, begins to choke. Norm tries to help the politician, but an uncontrollable erection prevents this, and the Reverend is forced to retreat. Keyshawn gives the elderly man CPR, but to no avail. Alice and Howard try to save the speaker with a defibrillator, but Pam turns it off, causing the man to fall into eternal sleep. Edwin has seen it all, but he is forced to keep quiet as he works for Pam, and she has long wanted to take over the speaker's seat, preventing her from becoming an independent politician. The next morning is the speaker's funeral, which is being watched not only in Washington, D.C., but across the country. Scott turns on the TV and learns that Alice was able to go to the United States and meet a congressman. After starting a relationship with another girl, he thinks about going back to his ex again, because his feelings for her are as strong as before. Howard feels guilty for what happened, but Pam is only concerned about her performance in front of the guests. The woman is rehearsing her speech and hopes to impress the speaker's widow in order to gain her support and take her late boss's place. Alice is disappointed in Howard because he did not keep his word and did not help her in any way. The aspiring politician is ready to give the girl his insurance, but she is not satisfied with it because he will help only her, but not hundreds of other people in a difficult situation. Not wanting to give up, Alice decides to play a play to arouse emotions in those present. She rises to the stage to deliver a touching farewell speech and earns the widow's trust. Taking advantage of the position, Alice declares that the speaker decided to abandon the lunar program and wanted to help people. Friends are pleasantly surprised, and the public is shocked because no one expected to hear something like this. Howard realizes that Pam will be angry and runs away before she can find him. Alyssa joins the Girl Scout movement and joins Marcia in making cookies in support of changing healthcare legislation. The girls quickly become popular on social media and gather millions of fans across the country. Realizing that the Moonbase project is in jeopardy, Pam discredits the Girl Scouts by accusing them of same-sex love. Soon, Scott arrives at the scout camp, trying to talk Alice out of her scheme. He arrived in Washington at Pam's personal request, but realizes that he cannot disappoint his former partner. Upon learning that Howard is missing, a police officer puts out a bolo and finds him naked in the woods. An aspiring politician escapes to a men's spiritual seminar to rediscover himself and his calling. Scott brings Howard to a scout meeting and sees Alice kissing him. The policeman feels jealous, but the waitress rejects the ex-boyfriend and talks about falling in love with the inexperienced politician. The next morning, Alice and her friends head to Congress, where Pam is running for speaker. Howard tries to promote a bill by a girl with a nail in her head, but the politicians take his words hostilely. Pam points out that the aspiring politician has made mistakes and promoted bills by women he has made love to. He's already voted in favor of absurd mistress laws, and no one will allow the same mistake to happen again. Alice persuades the audience to give her 1 minute and gives a moving speech, startling the congressmen. Despite applause, they vote against changing the law and denying aid to Americans in need. Feeling powerless against the current political regime, Alice faints. Rakisha learns of Kashan's health problems and leaves the man. At the same time, Edward offers Howard cooperation, and he agrees to become Pam's assistant, apologizing for all mistakes. The aspiring congressman realized the cruelty of the political world and gave up love in order to support the project of a lunar military base. Disappointed Alice returns to the hotel and dreams of going home as soon as possible. At the same time, she hears a breaking news report and learns that Howard has amended a bill to allow people with rare pathologies, nail in the head, butt problems, permanent erections, and others, to be helped. Also, in the report is Howard, who admits he did it out of love for Alice. Realizing that he went along with Pam's deception and remained faithful to her, the girl runs outside and hugs the man she loves. A short while later, a recovered Kashan, Norm, and Alice gather to celebrate the wedding. Rakisha and Kashan become happily married, while Alice and Howard plan to legitimize their relationship soon. We hope you like the recap. Please like and subscribe. See you soon.